Minnesota, Buffalo, Toronto, Winslow, Sarasota, Wichita, Tulsa, Ottawa, Oklahoma, Tampa, Panama, Mattawa, Loma, Bangor, Baltimore, Salvador, Amarillo, Tocopilla, Barranquilla, and Padilla, Amarillo. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. Across the deserts, bare, man.
KFI AM 640, more stimulating talk radio. We're back, ladies and gentlemen, for an hour or two. Mario Martinoli here with more stimulating restaurant talk every Saturday afternoon from 3 to 5 on your AM dial right there at 640. Dialed in all the time. Okay, the numbers to call in Los Angeles, 520-1KFI, toll free in Orange County, 800-520-1KFI. Okay, here we go. And with all due respect, to all of the great chefs that are out there, Wolfgang Puck with the invention of California cuisine, Pacific Rim cuisine, all of the great people out there that have done wonderful stuff. Where it all started, okay, was at a campfire with a pioneer, with the Mexicans, with the Indians, and you know something? It was all chili. For time immemorial, people have been making chili, and everybody's grandmother and their grandfather and their aunts and their uncles have all got their own variety of chili that they enjoy. Some have got meat in them, some have the beans in it, some are slow cooked, some are fast cooked, some even come out of a can, God forbid. Okay, but, everybody has the variety of it, and it's one of those proprietary dishes, okay? It's one of those things. It's like pizza, okay? It's like sushi. It's like Chinese food. It's like any of that kind of stuff where it is so proprietary that you have your own particular versions of it. Well, once it goes from the realm of being something that you truly enjoy for yourself, and you want to share it now, and you want to share it in its freshest form, well, you've got to open up a restaurant. And if you've got a little bit of history behind you, if you've got some restaurant experience, some marketing experience, some food service experience, well, there's only one place to go, and that is to open up your own place. You add a little bit of soul to the whole deal, what do you have? You've got Randy Hoffman in Sherman Oaks at Chili My Soul. I've been there many times, tried all the chilies. He's got about 100 variety in his hip pocket, and he rotates those through on a daily basis. He's got about 15 of them available every single day, about 33 rotating in and out every other day, and he's got them. They're slow cooked, and they're for real. So without further ado, let me invite the king of chili himself, Randy Hoffman. Hey, Randy, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing, Mario? Good afternoon.
Good to see you again. As you walked through the studio and you sat down today, you had that kind of aroma of chili about you. You're just the guy.
I guess I hang out of those pots all the time, so you're going to pick up all the different flavors from me. So
that's
it's with me. It's with me. I live it.
You could walk by and lick you and get although I won't. All right. But let me tell you this. Your place, Chili My Soul. When you walk in, boy, those aromas just hit you right in the head, don't they?
Well, they're always cooking. Our chilies cook for 3 days, so no matter when you come in, you're going to be getting flavors of different chilies and different spices all going on, all kind of melding into the atmosphere, so to speak, of the restaurant.
You've been at this for quite a long time. It's actually in your blood, and there's a little bit of a history that people need to know in terms of the food service business, where it is, that you have your roots. If any of us that have got a little bit of age on us are going to remember the 1890 dressings, okay? That's the one with the can, dancers on the front, with that
exactly
type of print, the Chef Milani. This is your family, huh?
It's my family. I'm the legacy of Milani Foods, and we had Milani's 1890 French dressing, and to this day, again, this is a thing that was really popular mainly in the 60s and 70s, started in the 50s, and customers come in, they hear about us, and they start singing the jingles. So I'm like the last of the Hoffmans in the food business from the big Hoffman family that started Milani's 1890.
That was really quite successful, wasn't it? I mean,
it's very, very successful. It's the largest privately held food company in the country for many years.
And this 1890 dressing, this was one man's idea. This is Chef Milani, and your family actually bought it from him.
We bought it with Chicago family, and in the beginning, in the late 40s, everyone was in Chicago. I wasn't born yet. They bought the recipe. They bought this guy out, started a plant in Chicago, and then in the 50s, moved out the general offices and built a bigger plant out here, and so began this kind of salad dressing empire.
When did you take the whole, all of that marketing information that you had learned, et cetera, and then started to apply it to the chili? Maybe a better question is this: when did you first, have your first bite of chili and you knew that you were going to go into this whole deal?
Well, I'm asked this question a lot, and the thing that kind of inspired me was my mom, who's a great cook, made this chili one day way back, I don't know, very, very early 60s, and I've always been kind of this scientist-type guy and sort of saw myself as an alchemist, and I thought, how do these things, these different items, these different flavors and vegetables and meats and things start out here and hours later become this completely transformed thing? Well, anyway, that caught my interest, and ultimately I started experimenting, playing with flavors, playing with spices, and I was bitten. I literally was bitten by chilies.
Okay, when we come back, what I want to do is I want to get a little bit more into, making a chili and how you broadened your horizons, to make all of these different varieties, because it sounds to me like you caught the wave of something big, and really, I even think that the bigger stuff is still to come. So when we come back, we're going to have a little bit more of a conversation on that. Today, in studio with me is Randy Hoffman of Chili My Soul in Sherman Oaks, and if anything is stimulating, it certainly is the conversation about chili. You're listening to Mario Martinoli. I'm here with you every Saturday afternoon from 3 to 5, and you are on KFI AM 640, more stimulating talk radio. KFI AM 640, more stimulating talk radio. Mario Martinoli here with more stimulating restaurant talk. Okay, here are the phone numbers in Los Angeles: 5201-KFI, Orange County, 800-5201. KFI. With me in studio today, great friend and the Chili Meister himself, Randy Hoffman of Chili My Soul in Encino. It is an interesting thing about chili. There's two different theories here, or two different concepts when it comes to people in the restaurant business. Try to be everything to everybody, or try to be one thing and do it right. And there are people out there that have been successful at both. When you came into the chili business, Randy, it's amazing that you were able to take and expand the concept of a chili. Because when I was a kid, it was, chili with beans, chili just with meat, con carne, meaning that it was beans with meat. It all had this, very, very interesting flavors about it, the chilies, the cumin, and all the rest of this. But, you took it to a whole other level. Where did all that come from?
Well, interesting, playing off of what you were saying, chili as a name, as a dish, sort of evolved from like pizza pie. When I grew up in L.A., everything was a pizza pie. There was no such thing as a pizza. Chili was always chili con carne. Right. Same idea, and then sort of as it evolved, as peppers, essentially, peppers became more plentiful and available in Southern California from various regions. The whole concept of taking different peppers with different flavors and different heat levels and different characteristics and different flavor notes and making different kinds of chili began. And so I kind of fell right into that. It was a natural for me.
When you were 15 years old, you were exposed to basically the one kind of chili.
Yes.
All right. Did you ever, weird anybody out when you started to add something new to a chili?
Well, I usually weird myself out first. I'd have to go and experiment and try it, and I'm a pretty good judge of what's going to work. But I'd always present it to friends. Actually, that's sort of the genesis of the restaurant. It all started with me doing chili. It was a hobby of mine that, as I said, I got bitten by. Couldn't let it go. I always experiment. And I would do chili for people's parties. Someone would have a little event. They'd say, my God, this is amazing. What is it? And then that would then send me back to try something else and different. I always wanted to keep advancing what chili was. And I wasn't even thinking about restaurants in those days. Just had to do it.
All right, the standard things, and I think you're going to really kind of understand, where I'm going with this question. All right, if you've got a flavor or you have an ingredient, okay, and it'd be a meat, whether it be a pork or a chicken or a beef, they have their individual flavors.
Absolutely.
All right? They do. They have, and I'm going to give you that, okay, that they do have their individual flavors. But when you get right down to it, the thing that makes one chili differ from another are the chilies.
True.
And the other exotic spices and herbs that go into it. Leave aside the pork, etc. So the pork is something that either comes along or doesn't come along. It's the other stuff.
It's the other stuff.
It's the other stuff.
It's the other stuff.
Let's talk about that.
The other stuff, again, the whole food industry, both retail and commercial, changed and has grown in Southern California. This is where I've spent my life. And as other vegetables became more plentiful, as spices that never were thought of, in the early days of just, certain shilling spices on the shelf, that's all people knew. But as the population grew, as the area became more ethnically diverse, suddenly there's spices from India, spices from Thailand, spices from Vietnam, and all these to me were like, my God, what if I combine this with this? What type of chili can I make? So things just grew and evolved into something brand new. That to me was the excitement of growing up here.
Really, when you get right down to it, if it's not a chili, it's a curry. Okay.
True.
Because a curry
or a stew
a curry in India is not necessarily one particular thing that tastes one particular way.
Exactly.
It's actually a mix or a melange of ingredients to create a flavor.
And as is true with chili in various regions of India, as in various regions of the world, and in particular the United States, different available spices combined and blended create different curries in India and certainly different chilies all over this country.
All right, now let's talk about the chilies. We always think of Mexico as being the place where this all comes from. Are there Ecuadorian chilies and Venezuelan chilies?
There's Peruvian chilies.
chilies?
There's, again, like with chili, it's a highly debatable, highly hot topic as people research it as to where it really originated. There are those who claim it's Texas specific, others claim it's Mexico. My research, I do think it came from Peru because there were chilies grown years before America was sort of developed in the Andes, and just using this chili, this pepper, which has natural preservative qualities with any given meat, something climbing on a rock, adding chilies to it would preserve it without refrigeration. So, different regions, again, had their own way of doing this, but the evolution came as populations grew and sort of crossed borders.
Okay. I know that does, and I say this so that we understand that there's just not one variety of chili. I know the Malaysians, the Indonesians have what they call the sambal.
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
The sambals are basically their versions of chili. Okay.
Right.
And that's a flavoring mechanism or an ingredient made up of sometimes 20 different ingredients to create an enhancement to whatever they're cooking.
Right. And sambals, like curries, all have a common base that which you can identify as a sambal. Lots of garlic in particular, whereas a curry would tend to have more cumin. But each region, each families have generational recipes that they hold and adhere to forever, and it's their curry, and people will go and try to find it and try to, figure out where can I get that taste. And that's kind of the way people are with food.
People forget that cumin is a big part of this whole deal. When they think of cumin, though, they think of Indian cuisine. Isn't that interesting?
It's interesting, and it's interesting you should bring up cumin because we roast our own cumin. We don't just throw it into the chili, which is sort of typical. We literally roast the cumin and grind it to various levels of doneness. And like in Indian cuisine, how you grind, how you cook those spices directly affects the final flavor.
All right, now, I'm walking into Chili by Soul, all right, and there I am. I'm standing at the counter, which is a very, very humble counter. It's got right what you need.
Nice way of putting it.
What?
It's a nice way of putting it. Humble.
You're
right, it is. It's a small place.
It's home.
It is indeed. It is indeed. It's very homey.
There's no frills, no fancy, but what's behind the counter, you see the chili pots.
You do.
And you can really see them being created. There's no secrets there.
Absolutely.
Right
We're
there.
completely open. In fact, we like people to come back and sort of see what we're doing often, especially people who bring their kids in. They want to see us stirring the pots. It's completely visible. So people sort of get a sense of not only what they're eating, but how it's come through this process that takes 3 days.
Yeah, and they do take 3 days. Huh?
They do. Every chili that we do takes 3 days to make. They're all defatted 4 times. It's really rather unique. But it's that slow cooking, very, very complex process. And this goes back to your question about Milani's. I used to hang out with the PhD food scientists in the lab all the time. As a little kid, when I'd hang out before I even worked for the company, I'd hang out in the lab. These guys were brilliant. And they taught me things that I could never have learned at Cordon Bleu. So it was sort of natural. Again, I never was thinking about doing a restaurant or doing chilies, but I was naturally attracted to the way people could use sort of their scientific expertise and create flavors.
The great thing, I love this part about Chili My Soul, is that there's a famous ice cream place in town, okay, that you can walk in, almost virtually any ice cream place in town, but they really started the whole trend. You could literally go in there and get a small spoonful, and have a taste or a bite before you ended up getting the big scoop. Same thing applies with you. This is a delicious way of selecting the chili that you want.
Well, thank you, Mario. In fact, I don't think, seriously, the business would be doing as well if we didn't do that. So when you walk in, the first thing we do after greeting you is, do you like things spicy? Do you eat chicken? Do you like vegetarian? We have 6 vegetarian chilies alone, so we have some people who are just hardcore vegetarian who can never find a decent vegetarian chili. But we sample. Here, try this. Would you like to sample this one? After we've described them to them. So the sampling really is the thing that makes the connection and makes the differentiation in people's minds as to what they want. Because people come in all the time with, they may have just eaten chili out of a can all their life, and this happens. People say, I never really liked chili. They'll come in with their wife or husband or girlfriend, and she doesn't eat chili. I said, you know what, try this. This is not typical. And it's the sampling that really makes it special.
You bring something up that's very interesting and important. And before we go out, I want to say this. Not all chilies are spicy.
Not at all. We have chilies that have no heat whatsoever. The key thing is it's about flavor. I tell people when they say, oh, I'm a wimp, they'll see something. We have a 1 to 10 scale, 10 being our hottest, and they'll say, gee, I only eat 2s and 3s, I'm a wimp. I say, you're not a wimp. Chili is about flavor. If you like heat, the heat's there. But if you don't like heat, you can enjoy this fully because that's it. It's all about flavor.
Now, I'm really happy that, the kind of hot craze is beginning to wane a touch.
Exactly. I agree with you.
It got to the point where it was, the hotter for better for me. Well, then at that point in time, you have no taste buds.
You have no taste. You have no flavor anymore.
You have no flavor. Right. So when we come back, we'll continue our conversation. We're going to get a little bit right down and dirty into the chilies.
We'll do it.
What makes one which way and what makes another one another way. And this is going to be the part where I'm going to enjoy myself the most. You listen to Mario Martinoli here with you every Saturday afternoon from 3 to 5. And, of course, this is KFI AM 640. More stimulating talk radio. Okay, with me today, Randy Hoffman, Chili My Soul in Encino. If there is a Chili Meister, he is the guy. And I don't debate this at all because, Randy, there are a lot of places that create good chili. There's been some very, very famous chilies in town.
Indeed, there are.
And it's one of those things that are, as I said, that are very, very proprietary. People enjoy certain things in their chili. They exclude other things, etc. But before we get into that, so that, because we've already gotten a number of calls, and what we want to do is we want to give everybody your location. So tell everybody where you are.
We're located in Encino. We're on the northeast corner of Ventura Boulevard and Balboa Boulevard. Big, smart, and final shopping center.
Okay, great. And you're right over there, almost in the middle of the center, correct?
Yeah, we're right there in the middle of the center. You pull in, you can't miss us.
Well, frankly, I know where exactly we are. I've been there.
If you can find the 101, you can find us.
That's right. Okay.
Right off Balboa.
All right, here's the deal. And you also have a website. Where's that?
We do. ChiliMySoul.com. Easy. ChiliMySoul.
Good. And I'm telling you, so there's so much information there, a lot of great stuff. Now, I want to know, there's always this big, big debate. In the annals, in the history of cook-offs, whether it be a pie bake or others, okay? And you can't think of many other type of cook-offs. So there is pie bake, it's got to be chili cook-off, okay?
You got
it doesn't seem like anybody else does anything else. It's either a chili cook-off or it's a pie bake, be it apple, berry, or God knows what, okay? So if there is a major difference in the chilies, and again, leave the meat alone for a second, because as far as I'm concerned, unless it's beef, there's very little flavor added. There is some, but leave that alone for a second. The one major difference in all of the chilies has got to be the beans. Is it a bean or is it not a bean?
Oh, this is the ultimate, the top debate point when it comes to chili, because people generally, at least in California, grew up, chili is with beans. And yet, if you're from Texas, if you have a bean in your chili, it ain't chili. And literally, I deal with this every day at the restaurant because people come in and they become, and of course this is part of chili lore anyway, they become very adamant about whether, gee, this isn't real chili, there are no beans in it. And the others will say, what, you can't have real chili without beans. So it's always the debate point. And yet, no one's right. It grew up, depending on where in the country they grew up, that's what they knew as chili. So that goes on. It will never leave. It's part of chili lore. And when it comes to cook-offs, one little point, is that if you're in one of the sanctioned cook-offs that are sponsored around the country and actually around the world, you can't enter a chili if it has beans. But yet the chili that's given to the people who go and participate in the event has to have beans. Go figure.
It is an interesting question. I've always been amused. Okay, and I'm going to use that word really in its fullest definition. I'm always amused when I've heard people come to me and say, "Oh, I just love angel hair pasta," but I'm going, okay, why? If I just put a bowl of angel hair pasta, they're going to probably send it back to me. What it is what you put on top of it. Usually fresh tomato, basil, a little bit of garlic, extra virgin olive oil, and I believe. This is my own very, very humble, belief, with absolutely no research done at all. I believe that chili started off beanless, and because the bean in Mexico, Central South America, is akin to the pasta in Europe, the noodle in Asia, and the rice, maybe in Asia, the subcontinent, that these were the filling mechanisms to actually give people the carbohydrates that they needed, the filling mechanism. So I believe that the chili is a beanless chili. It might be very good with beans, but when you get right down to it, a bean gives you no flavor either.
You're right to the point on that, but it's an interesting thing that it was a matter of economics in the earlier days, because if they had a little amount of meat and 20 cowboys on the range, they sure as hell had beans with them. The beans were an extender. The beans were the beans are the things that made it enough food to feed everybody. And yet, without a doubt, I completely concur. Most of our chilies, 85%, are beanless. We have bean chilies; they're delicious. But my feeling is as well that real chili, if you will, and again, that's a real controversial term for it, but real chili is beanless.
People are going to have a little controversy with this. Now, here's the way that I enjoy to have chili. If in fact someone has a few beans that they have in the restaurant that are cooked and well prepared, I like to have those here, and then I'll take a little bit of rice here, but just give me that nice bowl of beanless chili, cooked with or without the meat. I don't care.
Making me hungry.
And then let me go and sample all those together. It is truly the way to enjoy a great chili. Now, let's get into something. Let's kind of stir the pot, as they say it, okay? You've really got to be a little pissed off is when they start. We're a little upset. Okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
When they start pouring chili all over things like French fries, hot dogs,
my people have to pull me away.
hamburgers. Really, do you kind of have to turn away?
You know what? I got to the point.
At your place.
Well, I got to the point where I had no choice but to accept that reality, because people want to put it on rice, like you said. People want to put it on fries, which we do, and I just accept that people come to get chili, and they have their particular mindset on how they want it served. So we do a number of those versions. But to me, and if they talk to me, or certainly talk to many of my people, they'll tell you, try it straight. Just try it. And the real chili aficionados, the ones who've been eating it for years, and especially the chili cooks that frequent the place, they know. They come in, just give me a bowl. I got a story about a Texan that's amazing. But anyway, they love this stuff. This guy comes in, I'll tell you the story. This guy looks like he's right out of Central Casting. Big black 10-gallon hat, leathered face, tall guy. He says, "Give me the hottest chili you got. I want to have the hottest one. I hear you got the best in town." I thought it was a setup. It wasn't. I wish I had this on video. Anyway, we give the guy our demon. It's our hottest chili. It is extremely, excruciatingly hot. Not for everyone. I said, "Do you want to have a sample first?" "No, don't give me a sample. Just bring me the bowl." So we serve up a bowl. Of course, we're all looking. He sits down. He's got the hat on. He starts eating the chili spoon by spoon. He's wiping his brow more and more. After, the 8th spoonful, he stands up, grabs his hat, throws it on the ground, and says, "That's the best damn bowl of chili I had in my 25 years. Comes over and shakes my hand. And if I had that on tape, it would be a wonderful thing.
You can find the guy that's in Montana, or in Oklahoma, or Texas. You get all these different guys that come in, maybe everybody has their version.
The regional chilies that are somewhat well known. Many people will know Cincinnati-style chili, which has been popularized mainly through that area because it was essentially a Greek dish, but always served over rice or pasta. three-way, four-way. There are different ways, but those people from that region know of Cincinnati style. Same with the Texans, who generally won't eat beans. Californians generally think of chili with beans. They all eventually come in. We try to sort of extend and expand their realm of what they know chili to be. And so I see this as an educational process as much as a restaurant, because we're allowing them to see, you know what, chili doesn't have to have beans, or chili doesn't have to have regular tomatoes, and chili doesn't necessarily have to have onions, because some of ours don't.
All right. Food, all right. Okay, the Cobb salad, for instance, was created right here in the good old Los Angeles, Brown Derby. And it was basically, something that one of the chefs in the back threw together out of the leftovers. The same thing with the chopped salad at La Scala. All these great dishes were something that just, got created, and then for some reason or other, oddly enough, they get a little fancy, and they get a little price tag attached to it, and they become a little spa-oriented.
They have a cachet all their own.
Cachet all of their own. Okay? Chili at your place is really what it is.
It is.
It is just chili.
Right.
No frills, no fancy. You got what you get. And how hard is that to maintain?
Well, listen, maintaining quality in the restaurant business, anyone will tell you, is the most difficult thing of all. But in our case, it's even more difficult because the process takes so long. So making sure that everyone knows the exact temperatures and the seasonings and the points at which things change is critical. It is the most difficult thing to maintain and manage well, and yet it's the thing that keeps, I think, the better restaurants going and the not-so-great ones, not here anymore.
Okay, now, so when we come back, what I want to do is this. I'm going to wet your whistle here a little bit, because I know you like talking about this as much as I do it. All right. All of this is all great. History, we have all this esoteric conversation about the chili, but the proof is always in the pudding. You have all these varieties that you've got, and I have some of my favorites. When we come back, I'm going to give you my all-time favorite at Chili My Soul, and you may or may not know which one it is. Okay?
I don't know.
Okay, you may not. All right, you don't know which one it is.
I don't know.
I'm going to tell you which one it is when we come back. It is the one that literally blew my socks off. It is the one that is so different than all the rest that you've got, and it is the one, frankly, that makes absolutely no sense at all, unless you were a chili aficionado and you know a little bit about Latin cuisine. And it's the one that's my favorite.
I know where you're going.
Okay, and where we're going to go then is we're going to talk a little bit about the varieties you've got and get down and dirty. Okay, when we come back... More of our conversation with Randy Hoffman, Chili My Soul, and Encino. And this is Mario Martinoli every Saturday afternoon from 3 to 6. KFI AM 640. Really more stimulating talk radio. KFI AM 640, more stimulating talk radio. Mario Martinoli back with you again for the final segment of our show today. I'm here every Saturday afternoon from 3 to 5, taking your restaurant calls with me today in studio. And I really want to thank you, Randy, for taking time out of your busy schedule.
Thank you, Mario.
To come on in and talk about chili. As I said, you are, I could throw out a lot of platitudes and all that, chili meister, et cetera, but the proof is in the pudding. You wake up every morning, you go into your store,
I do.
You guys make the chili, you wait for the customers to come in, and if you don't do a good job, frankly,
they're gone.
You're out of business.
They're out of there.
Okay?
Right.
And that's really where the proof of all this is. So,
thank you,
there's all kinds of things that are written. You can certainly know a lot, but when you're around a lot, that's
exactly
the deal.
true.
Okay?
Thank you.
So now back to my favorite chili at your place. Okay?
Right.
A few years back, there was a chili cook-off in Beverly Hills, which I was a guest, not a guest at, but a judge at.
Yep.
And I enjoyed myself so much doing those. And the chili cook-off was a lot. I think there was 30 different varieties of chili that we had to taste. And the winning variety was done by a young lady. I mean, I think she must have been in her teens or younger. Okay? And she made a chili that had all the wonderful flavors in it, but it was turkey. And I was going to be the last one at that point in time, because it was all blind tasting, to believe that a turkey chili could have been that good. Okay? And it was. Okay, so now enter you. I come into your place again, and I sit down, and I say, look, I want to have a turkey chili, but I want to have one that's really, really strange. And I remember the time that you actually recommended this, and I said, Randy, boy, it better be good. And that's it, because you know how I am.
I know exactly how you are. And in fact, when people see turkey chili, they go, well, I don't know, because it's not traditional. People have a certain preconception about it. But what we've done is you found out yourself. I think probably you had the poblano turkey, correct?
I had the poblano turkey chili,
yes,
flavored with Mexican chocolate, and then the added great thing is you had these little chocolate chips that surrounded the plate that you could actually drop into the chili every now and then.
I remember you're eating that, by the way.
Oh, it is so good. I can't even begin to tell you.
But you wouldn't know it was turkey, correct?
No, you wouldn't know it was turkey. But again, I'm going further than that. What it was the combination of the spiciness of the poblano chili, which is not too spicy.
No, it's not. Used in mole sauce often.
Okay, and then you work toward the chocolate. Now, everybody has to understand that the chocolate that's in this particular chili is a Mexican style of chocolate that you would not use for anything else besides flavoring these types of dishes.
Right, absolutely. The Mexican chocolate that goes into the process of making the poblano turkey, in fact, has a particular not so wonderful taste if you were just to eat it, but it has a flavor point. It has an essence that really gives certain meat dishes, and in this case the poblano turkey, this wonderful kind of aromatic, seasoned taste that is unlike anything else. It's not that it tastes like chocolate. That's what people often don't understand. They say that chocolate's in the chili, but if they taste it, it gives it this velvetyness, this really smooth texture and flavor.
People need to know that the chocolate you use in it is not a sweet chocolate.
No, not at all. It's very bitter.
That's right. It's very bitter. And it's grainy.
Grainy.
It's kind of ugly almost, okay? But it really tastes good. And then now, on the other end, it's kind of the yin and the yang.
Yeah.
The other little chocolate chips are very high-end, and they're sweet, and they're terribly delicious. Okay?
They're wonderful. Thank you.
It's a sinful bowl of chili, and it is absolutely my favorite when I come to chili myself.
Can I tell you, Mario, and this is absolutely true, that chili out of all of our 33, the poblano, has become our second most popular. And people who never would have eaten chocolate and chili, they laugh. They see it on the, we have 12 different toppings. They see it on the board. They chocolate chips all the time. We have a little sign that says, "Trust us, you'll love it." We'll give them a sample. We'll pop one chocolate chip on top. They'll go, "My God, that's amazing." Yeah. Because they're not, again, it's a flavor they're not used to.
Okay. Well, all right. So now let's give everybody, now that I've told them mine, hopefully they'll come out and enjoy it. Okay. Now, we've got Chili My Soul. You're open 7 days a week.
7 days a week.
And give me the phone number.
The main phone number is 818-981-SOUL or 981-7685. And we have a hotline number where you can find out the chili flavors of the day, 818-386-9966.
Okay, and again, you're at 4928 Balboa, right there in the Smart and Final Shopping Center.
Exactly.
Randy Hoffman, really continued great success to you.
Thank you, Mario.
And I know that there's some plans in the future. We're not going to talk about them right now, but there are plans in the future for more of Southern California to taste and enjoy your chili right to the soul.
Thank you, Mario.
Okay.